Welcome to the debate. Picture a star striker stepping up to take a penalty kick in the final minutes of a World Cup knockout match.
High stakes, the ultimate pressure cooker.
Exactly. And as he places the ball on the spot, he thinks it's a battle of nerves between him and the goalkeeper. But what he doesn't know is that, a server sitting somewhere in the stadium architecture has already analyzed his deceleration efficiency over the last 90 minutes.
Right.
It's calculated the exact micro-fatigue in his left calf, and it's transmitted this dynamic probability map to the opposing dugout, essentially telling that goalkeeper exactly where the ball is mathematically most likely to go.
It's a terrifying thought, honestly. I mean, we usually associate that level of total transparency with high-performance machines, Think of a Formula One race.
Oh, yeah.
Every temperature gauge, every tire pressure fluctuation is beamed instantaneously to the pit wall. But a car is entirely mechanical. There are no secrets between the engine and the telemetry screen, right?
Right, exactly. The machine exists to be monitored, to be optimized, and pushed to its absolute limit. But today, we are witnessing this profound transformation in elite international football. The modern pitch at the World Cup level is no longer just, a patch of grass.
Far from it.
It has become a low-latency, high-performance computing environment. Real-time artificial intelligence and edge computing are now actively participating in the 90 minutes of play. So the core question we are exploring today is this. As federations utilize advanced biometrics to monitor every microfluctuation in a player's physiology, does the quest for collective team performance unjustifiably infringe upon individual bodily privacy?
And crucially, can we truly trust the accuracy of these sensor-driven algorithms to dictate critical, real-time match decisions?
Yeah, it is really the defining tension of modern sports.
It absolutely is.
So in this discussion, I will be arguing that this biometric integration is, it's a scientific and competitive necessity. It is fundamentally an ethical good that protects players from devastating injuries and maximizes the collective success of a national team, especially in an environment where the margins for error are absolute zero.
Okay, and I will be arguing that this practice dangerously commodifies human biology. I mean, extracting hyper-personal data strips athletes of their fundamental right to privacy. And relying on these deterministic algorithms, it oversimplifies the physiological realities of the athlete, basically replacing human resilience with cold probabilistic math.
Well, to start, I think we have to lay out the reality of the environment, right? A World Cup is a uniquely grueling, compressed 30-day window.
Grueling is an understatement.
Right. National team managers have to forge a cohesive, world-beating squad out of players who spend the vast majority of their year playing in completely disparate tactical systems at their respective clubs.
Yeah, they get a couple of weeks to prepare?
Exactly.
When you have that little time, relying solely on traditional coaching methods, on pure human intuition, it's just no longer sufficient. Integrating AI is both a competitive and, frankly, a protective imperative.
Protective? I hear the protective argument, but we are using computer vision and predictive neural networks to monitor microscopic alterations in a player's running gait. Predicting a hamstring tear before it physically happens preserves a player's career. That, to me, is serving the collective goal of the national team while protecting the individual.
Okay, but you are completely glossing over the sheer scale of what is actually being extracted here. We aren't just talking about tracking how far a player runs.
No, it's much more granular.
It's hyper-personal. We are talking about kinematic and biometric data, down to the minute details of neuromuscular load and stride asymmetry. National federations are effectively treating human bodies as mere data nodes within a massive deep learning pipeline.
I think data nodes is a bit harsh.
You argue it serves a collective goal, but in doing so, it prioritizes the federation's success over the individual's right to their own physiological data. And beyond the privacy aspect, I deeply question the absolute authority we are granting to these algorithms.
In what way?
We are letting sensors dictate critical real-time match decisions based on, critical thresholds that simply cannot account for human willpower.
Well, let's unpack those sensors, because I think understanding the mechanism, the how, and the why is crucial here. We aren't just putting heart rate monitors on chests anymore. Consider the staggering capability of the sensor fusion we are deploying.
the ball itself, right?
Yes, the match ball itself rests an inertial measurement unit, or IMU, right at its core.
Which is essentially a highly sophisticated version of the gyroscope and accelerometer inside your smartphone, correct?
Precisely. But this IMU is transmitting kinematic data at 500 hertz.
Wow.
That means 500 times every single second, it's sending telemetry on its spin, velocity, and spatial location. Simultaneously, you have a network of synchronized optical cameras positioned all around the stadium,
Tracking the players?
tracking everything. These cameras are mapping the skeletal structures of all 22 players on the pitch. They capture 29 specific joints and limbs per player 50 times a second.
Right, and that creates a massive asynchronous stream of raw data. I mean, the camera frame rates and the ball sensor frequencies don't naturally match up.
Right, they don't, and that is exactly where the AI comes in. Complex algorithms instantly merge those asynchronous streams to create what we call a digital twin.
A digital twin?
Yeah, it acts like a master conductor, perfectly aligning the timestamps so that the exact microsecond a player's skeletal ankle shifts, the ball's internal sensor registers the strike. This foundational science powers semi-automated offside technology, rendering 3D maps to rule on infractions with, honestly, indisputable precision.
For offsides, sure, that's spatial rules.
But when we apply that same digital twin technology to the player's physiology, monitoring how many microseconds it takes for a player to decelerate, for example, we establish a perfect kinematic baseline. Look, in a team sport, one player's concealed fatigue could cost an entire nation a tournament.
So privacy goes out the window?
Having total transparency of that physiological data is a necessary sacrifice to achieve the collective objective.
Necessary sacrifice. Let's stop right there. Because I think we need to look at what happens when that perfect kinematic baseline is turned outward. Let's revisit your opening scenario, the penalty shootout.
The ultimate test of nerves.
Right. For decades, academic research grounded in game theory studied the Nash equilibrium of penalty kicks.
Oh yeah, the idea being that a kicker must perfectly randomize their shots, left, right, center.
Exactly. So that the goalkeeper literally can't not guess their intention. It's a perfect mathematical balance of unpredictability.
It is.
Or it was. It was a theoretical purity. But now, federations utilize these deep learning pipelines that completely destroy that equilibrium. I mean, they ingest thousands of historical penalties, sure. But today, they factor in the kicker's live kinematic approach, the current pressure index of the match, their exact minute of substitution, and their live biomechanical fatigue markers.
Which is frankly a brilliant synthesis of variables. It eliminates the guesswork for the goalkeeper.
It is not brilliant, it is biometric weaponization.
Oh, come on. Weaponization?
Yes, when that knockout match goes to penalties, the opposing goalkeeper is standing there armed with a probabilistic heat map. That map is dynamically adjusted in real time, dictating the exact mathematical likelihood of where a specific player will strike the ball based purely on their physical exhaustion under maximum psychological duress.
That's just an advanced scouting report.
No, it's more invasive than that. The striker thinks he is engaging in a psychological battle. In reality, his own bodily fatigue has been harvested, processed by edge AI servers in the stadium, and handed directly to his opponent. So I have to ask, where do we draw the line between tactical analysis and intrusive bodily surveillance?
That is a fascinating example, I'll give you that. But I would argue you are drawing an artificial boundary between tactical analysis and physiological tracking. In reality, they are inextricably linked.
How so?
Well, let's look at dynamic pitch control and expected threat, or XT.
Okay, which are metrics that calculate the probability of a team scoring from any given patch of grass on the pitch.
Yes, the AI layers agreed over the field and assigns value to open space. If an opposing team shifts their pressing trigger, or say a fullback starts leaving a statistically significant pocket of space behind them, the machine learning model flags that structural anomaly immediately and feeds it to the manager's tablet.
But that is tracking space. That is tracking formations and geometry. I have no issue with that. That is perfectly acceptable.
But wait, why is that space conceded in the first place? Well, space is conceded because of physiological reality. A fullback leaves an extra yard of grass because they are physically exhausted or because their stride asymmetry has shifted due to micro-fatigue in their hip. You simply cannot separate the tactic from the biology executing it.
I think you can, morally speaking.
But practically, managers no longer have to wait for the 15-minute halftime window to guess why their left flank is failing. They get heuristic, data-backed insights fed directly to the dugout. They execute shape adjustments mid-phase, neutralizing an opponent's strategy before it materializes into a goal.
But at what cost?
When you are representing a nation at the absolute pinnacle of sport, relinquishing that bodily privacy to the dugout's AI servers is the only way to neutralize opponents.
You're assuming that the technology's translation of human biology into actionable directives is flawless, which it isn't. We need to evaluate what happens when this harvested data actually dictates real-world actions on the pitch. You are placing blind faith in the accuracy and agency of these algorithmic interventions.
I am placing faith in empirical science over human intuition. AI acts as an invisible, hyper-analytical member of the coaching staff. Human eyes, no matter how experienced, simply cannot detect when a player's deceleration efficiency drops by 3%.
All right, let's test that faith then. Take the example of preemptive substitutions. The computer vision algorithms are continuously monitoring kinematic output, right? They track high-intensity sprint metrics, lateral agility, all of it. So the algorithm detects that a center back's lateral agility has dropped below a specific critical threshold.
Right. And the predictive neural network signals an impending drop in performance, or maybe an imminent soft tissue injury, prompting the coaching staff to make a precise preemptive substitution. It prevents a catastrophic injury or a defensive error that sends the entire nation home.
But does it? Let's ground this in a visceral football reality. What does a drop in deceleration efficiency actually look like on the grass?
Slower braking times.
Right. It means a player who normally takes 2 steps to brake after a full sprint is suddenly taking 3. The AI registers this as mechanical failure. But what if that player is drawing on raw passion, psychological resilience, and sheer human willpower?
You can't quantify willpower.
Exactly. These are factors that are entirely inherent to a World Cup knockout match. The algorithm's decision is fundamentally inaccurate because it cannot quantify human spirit. It looks at historical baselines and says, remove him. In doing so, it actively strips agency from both the player who wants to fight on and the coach who looks into his player's eyes and knows his heart.
Look, I see the romanticism in that argument. I truly do. But passion does not prevent a torn hamstring. Willpower does not repair a ruptured cruciate ligament. Relying on traditional coaching methods, looking into a player's eyes to see if they have the heart to continue, is exactly why legendary careers get shortened.
I disagree that it's just romanticism.
But you are framing the algorithm as if it uses rigid, deterministic logic, as if it says, if agility equals X, then substitute.
Well, it operates on a matrix of instant mathematical order applied to a highly chaotic, unpredictable environment.
Actually, it operates on stochastic models. That is precisely why it is effective. Think of a stochastic model less like a rigid calculator and more like a highly advanced weather forecast.
A weather forecast for a human body?
Exactly. The AI isn't definitively saying this hamstring will tear in 3 minutes. It is constantly comparing a player's live biomechanical data against their own deeply layered historical baseline. It evaluates the micro fluctuations in their gait and says, based on these gathering clouds, there's an 85% chance of a severe storm, a mechanical failure.
Right.
When that star midfielder is flagged for high probability of a hamstring tear, resting them during a group stage match preserves them for the knockout rounds. These models save players from their own hazardous overexertion.
You say it saves them, but I argue it reduces them. It reduces complex, passionate human beings to historical baselines and probabilistic heat maps. Let's look at the contrast in how we apply this technology. Elite national teams are employing these same deep learning pipelines to ingest thousands of hours of global broadcast footage, right?
Yes, for scouting.
They automatically classify an opponent's tactical tendencies, their passing network vulnerabilities, their spatial preferences. They can engineer bespoke game plans in hours.
Now, I can see the tactical brilliance of that, but when you turn that exact same ruthless computational lens inward onto your own players' bodies, you cross a serious ethical threshold.
But why? Why is it perfectly acceptable to computationally dismantle an opponent's tactics, but unethical to computationally protect your own player's body?
Because tactics are public actions taken in shared space. Biometrics are intimate, physiological truths. When a manager substitutes a player not because of what they have actually done, but because an algorithmically dictates what they might do or how their body might fail, you are removing human agency.
I don't see it as removing agency. I see it as adding intelligence.
You are replacing the fluid nature of football with a matrix of instant mathematical order. We're letting a machine say, your lateral agility is down 4%, so your tournament is over for today. We are essentially saying that the human being is nothing more than a data node that hasn't failed yet.
But that matrix of mathematical order is exactly what elevates the game to new heights. The game is now dictated by the speed of computation as much as the speed of the players. You mentioned the fluid nature of football. Think about opponent reconnaissance. During a World Cup, you might face a South American squad playing a fluid possession-based game on a Tuesday, and then face a European side utilizing a rigid, counter-attacking low block on a Saturday.
Which is the ultimate strategic equalizer.
Exactly. And to prepare for those drastic tactical shifts with only 3 days of preparation time, federations have to use AI. They run the opponent's datasets through stochastic models to simulate probable reactions, allowing the coaching staff to build a tailored game plan overnight.
Right, and I have no problem with that part of it.
But if we accept that this level of data processing is essential for tactics, we must accept it for physiology. The synthesis of millions of variables per second into actionable directives, whether it's rendering topological maps to scientifically proven offside or tracking neuromuscular load to preemptively rest a player, represents a massive triumph of empirical science.
A triumph of surveillance, maybe?
To me, it rightfully prioritizes collective victory and physical preservation over antiquated notions of tactical secrecy and physiological privacy.
Antiquated notions of physiological privacy. That phrase alone highlights my exact concern here. While the predictive precision of machine learning is undeniably impressive, it ushers in severe risks that we are just sweeping under the rug in the name of winning.
How so?
By prioritizing the Federation's collective performance, we subject individuals to unprecedented biometric surveillance. It is a system that demands the athletes surrender their most intimate biological truths to a server, trusting that a machine's probabilistic math understands their physical limits better than their own mind.
But if that surrender of data shields the athlete from a career-ending injury because we actually listen to the telemetry, haven't we served the human being better than if we let them run blindly into physical destruction out of some misplaced sense of athletic romanticism?
We may have preserved their ligaments, yes, but we've completely commodified their biology to do it.
It seems we are looking at the exact same matrix of data and seeing two very different reflections. So, to summarize my perspective, I see the integration of real-time AI and edge computing as a protective, competitive necessity. It permanently shifts international football away from the inherent flaws and blind spots of human intuition, moving the sport toward a safer empirical science that benefits both the collective team and the longevity of the individual athlete.
And to summarize mine, I see it as a permanent shift into an intense algorithmic order that demands rigorous scrutiny. We are gaining tactical omniscience, sure, but at the profound cost of individual bodily privacy and human agency. We are allowing machines to strip away the resilience and unpredictability that makes the sport so deeply human.
Well, we can certainly agree that the landscape of elite football has permanently shifted. The World Cup is no longer just a tournament of physical endurance and technical skill. It is a battle of split-second scientific precision. The dugout has effectively become a server room, and the pitch is a high-performance computing environment.
Precisely. The modern game is as much about the 500 hertz telemetry as it is about the ball hitting the back of the net.
And as federations continue to strap these sensors onto the world's greatest athletes, mapping their every micro-fluctuation and rendering them as millisecond perfect digital twins, we leave you to ponder this. when we turn the human body into a transparent, high-performance machine for the sake of collective glory, are we elevating the athlete to their ultimate potential, or simply erasing the human inside the machine?